Having bad neighbours is tough. But when 28-year-old photography student Emma Jackson moved in right underneath one, it became a living nightmare.
It did feel like torture. It's been the worst year of my life.
But she was not the first to have problems with the man living upstairs. Unemployed 53-year-old Mark Ray.
I was told that the previous tenants antagonised him, and obviously I'm not like that, so I'd never thought there would be a problem.
But it was straight after moving in that Emma realised that she was wrong.
I was laid in bed. It was literally like 6 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden there was just this really loud noise.
Okay, that's our contestant.
The TV was on full blast to the point where you could hear what it was watching.
And
obviously the
round
ceilings are really low, so it was right above my bed.
The noise from Mr. Ray's television continued over the next week. So when Emma saw her neighbour outside one day, she decided to tackle it.
Politely I said, would you mind like turning your TV down because I can't sleep? And I just got this like explosion, this like tirade of abuse. Like, you're a whore, you're a slag, move out the flat, I'm gonna get you evicted. And then he ran off and went into his flat, and I was just totally shocked. So it's like the first time I've met somebody and that's what I got from him.
From that moment on, Emma claims she received abuse whenever she saw Mr. Ray.
You're a slag, you're a whore, you're a stupid bitch. And it wasn't just me, it was people who would be visiting my address as well.
Introducing to you the new Power Blue, cleaning like you've never seen.
And Mr. Ray's television kept her awake every night.
It got to the point where I started sleeping with headphones. I would listen to either music or sleep sounds like rain and thunder.
Sleep deprived and desperate for a solution, Emma contacted the housing association, which owned the flats.
Guy went round to Mr. Ray's property and he actually said to him, yes, your TV is too loud, we'll agree a volume in which is acceptable. He kept it at that level for about a week, and then after that just crept back up again, and it just went back to how it was before.
Unable to avoid the noise or the neighbour himself, Emma snapped.
I was sweeping up, the TV was blaring as usual. Couldn't take it anymore, so I banged on the ceiling like that. I heard him thundering down the stairs, running up my path. He ran up to the front door and he smashed both of his hands on the door. I'm surprised that the door didn't smash, to be honest. And then I saw him running back off into his garden, and that's when I opened the door. I said to him, you're a nasty bully, and that's when he picked up a 3-foot fence post and threw it at me. I just jumped out the way and it hit the door frame. If it had hit me, it'd have probably killed me. It was just too much. It can be quite scary and isolating.
Terrified when she was at home, Emma's only refuge was going to work.
I came into work one day and Mark Ray came into my place of work. He'd brought back a TV because he'd blown the speakers on it. He came over to the general area where I work and he asked one of my colleagues for assistance. He said, I want somebody to help me with the TVs, but I don't want it to be that bitch over there. He wanted the TV to go really loud because he wanted to annoy her over there, and then he pointed at me. It was just hell because it wasn't even just one aspect of my life, it was just all of it as a whole that it was ruining. I came home one day from a family christening and noted that Mr. Ray had boarded up the shed like this. He'd put a big long piece of wood across it. The family members who was with me said, you know, have you got any tools? We'll try and help you get it off. My stepmother started trying to take off the wood. Mr. Ray came out, he was shouting, swearing like usual, red in the face. He had a massive rock about this big on top of his bin. My stepmom was stood right near his fence He picked it up and he held it over his head as high as he could, and he was like, "I'm going to kill you." My dad ran forward and put his hand out to stop it. I was just totally shocked, and obviously I feared for my stepmom's life. If it had dropped it on her, it would have definitely killed her.
Both Emma and Mark Ray immediately called 999.
He told the police that my dad had punched him in the face, when actually what he'd done was hit himself in the face with a rock.
Mark Ray appeared in court on harassment charges a few weeks later. He was given an injunction which banned him from harassing Emma or entering her property.
After the injunction, stuff did calm down quite a bit. I started moving on, started decorating the property. I think he was scared for a bit that obviously he didn't want to get in any trouble. But then his actual personality must have got the better of him, because he started again a few weeks later. Instead of outly harassing me, he would follow me down the street. You could hear him because you could hear his stick, when it hits the floor.
Emma claims Mark Ray now started a new campaign.
Everywhere I went, he turned up, he was there. And it made me feel really paranoid, because you would walk down the street and you could feel his eyes on the back of your head.
According to Emma, this pattern of harassment continued for over 6 months.
It was affecting everything in my life. It was affecting my studies because I couldn't concentrate because I was hardly getting any sleep. It was affecting my work because I had everything going on at once, and it was just ridiculous. My hair started falling out because I was that stressed about it all. I would be getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning because I thought I was hearing noises outside. He would board up the bin shed again.
At her wit's end, Emma decided the only way to end her nightmare was to catch her neighbour in the act.
I purchased a CCTV camera. I put it in my window and I pointed it towards the fence. Went straight to work, left it recording.
It took just over an hour for Mr. Ray to make an appearance.
This is him stood at my gate taking photos of my flat and of my camera.
Under the terms of the injunction, this was classed as an annoyance and breached the court order. But Emma's neighbour didn't stop there.
And that's him there, climbing over his fence into my garden, which he then boards up the shared shed that we have, and then he'll climb back over in a few minutes when he's done it.
Emma finally had evidence of her neighbour breaching his injunction.
It was important for me to catch him because he was doing so many things that I was unable to prove because I didn't have any evidence. I would hope that he would be arrested and punished appropriately. I wanted him to feel some of the grief that I've felt for the last 13 months.
In October 2014, Mark Ray was issued with a new injunction. If he uses or threatens to use violence against Emma Jackson, he can be arrested without a warrant. It was the end of a year that had pushed Emma to breaking point.
It's been the worst year of my life. I've been depressed. It's affected my relationships with people. The housing association contacted me and said, we're going to put in the procedures to move here. I just don't want him to find out where I live, because I do fear that he would try and do something, because he is that sort of type of person, and that does scare me.
We asked Mr. Ray for his comments on events, but have so far received no reply. New tenants should be moving in any day. Sometimes arguments between neighbours can be over in a flash, but others can burn on and on. In the West Midlands, the Sang family have been at war for 6 years.
Jamie! I can hear some music!
Since a noisy neighbour
What, you can see him?
He's actually there.
Actually, what?
tipped them over the edge.
Yeah, the whole family just feel anxious and frustrated.
He's pushed Nathan to the point where he just wants to beat him up.
Mom, can we watch something nice, or maybe a horror film? Divorced
Kate
mom,
Winslet.
Adele.
Nathan and Susan Sang live with their two sons, 18-year-old Kieran
Mom, I want to watch something nice.
and 19-year-old Jamie in
What's the name
Tipton
of it?
in the West Midlands.
Annabelle?
Annabelle's not nice.
Annabelle's nice? All you see is like a doll moving about, killing people?
When the dispute with their neighbours began, the family were dealing with their own problems.
I get my blood pressure. About 6 years ago, my kidney deteriorated and my consultant said that I will need a kidney transplant.
She began getting weak, she couldn't do things on her own.
It was pretty heartbreaking because obviously it's your mum. You never want to see her like that.
With Susan in need of a donor, husband Nathan immediately stepped forward.
I mean, at the beginning, when he wanted to give me a kidney, I was very hesitant because I didn't want someone to risk their lives for me. It was a success. My kidney just started, well, it just started working straight away.
When they returned home from hospital, what Susan and Nathan needed was peace and quiet and lots of sleep. But that wasn't exactly what they got.
It was in the 7 o'clock in the morning, and then suddenly we just hear some banging noise.
Oh God, it was bang, 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 and the radio was on.
It was really loud, even with all the window and door shut. I was so annoyed. I just get up myself and see what's going on outside.
Concerned that Susan, who was resting in bed, would be unable to get any much-needed sleep, Nathan decided he had to say something.
I see the next door neighbour out there in his back garden doing the groundwork with a radio next to him, and I try to tell him can you turn the music down a bit?
But his neighbour, Balbinder Singh, had his own ideas.
He came back yelling at me, very, very, very aggressively.
He goes, come down here and have a fight with me. That's what he said to Nathan.
I was really shocked, so I just shut the window.
But Mr. Singh wasn't the Sang's only problem, because his grown-up son Nick liked even louder music.
The first time when we heard a little bit of music, like a little beat.
While you were in bed?
Yeah, about 11 o'clock at night. And I thought, oh God, where's it coming from? So I come out onto the landing, and that's when I felt the vibration on the floor. It never really worried me because, you just think it might be just a one-off.
But it happened again. And again and again.
The music's that loud. It was like having a big disco in your house, yeah.
I just felt like going out and telling him, turn down your music.
And we had all the windows changed because of him. We thought, if we have triple glazing, it might help a little bit as well. But we can still hear it.
The family wanted to resolve things amicably and tried to speak to Nick on several occasions.
I was trying to be friendly with him. You don't follow your neighbours, do you? Do you know what I mean?
The Sangs say there was no let-up in the noise.
It was just putting so much strain on us, and it was to that point where most of the whole family had just fallen out.
We approached Nick and asked him for his version of events. He told us that whilst he does enjoy listening to music, he doesn't think it's too loud. And in April 2014, he asked Susan to go round and discuss the issue, face to face.
We were talking for about 2 hours. He goes, I'm really, really sorry for putting you through all that stress and you having your kidney problems and all that. And when I left his house, I really thought that, everything should be all right. I was really hopeful.
Nick Singh, who lived next door, had apologised, and Susan enjoyed peace and quiet for 2 weeks. But that tranquility was broken one day when she was home alone.
All of a sudden, I heard this loud music coming into the house. So I rushed into the bathroom, I looked out the window, and all of a sudden, His dad came out the house and started screaming and yelling and then looked up at me. He was that drunk, he was like wobbling all over the place. So what I'd done was I was so scared because being home alone, I quickly went and picked up the phone and called the police. I didn't know what he was going to do next.
While waiting for the police to arrive, Susan spotted another neighbour in the street and asked him to try and calm Nick's dad down.
And next thing I know, they were screaming and yelling and, Nick's dad was just going mad. And then Nick's dad went onto the middle of the road over there and he stood there with his two arms outstretched and told him to run him over. It's just horrible,
The other neighbour continued to try and calm Balbinder down until the police finally arrived.
Next thing we know, he says something like bastard. And then the police put the handcuffs on him and put him in the police car and then took him away.
Balbinder was arrested for being drunk and disorderly. The next day, he was given a fixed penalty notice and released. But the Sangs hoped his brush with the law would finally keep him and Nick quiet, giving Susan the peace she needed to recover from her kidney transplant.
Oh, what is it?
36.4.
But 6 years of worrying about Next Door was beginning to take its toll on Susan.
I'm dreading it. Don't know whether he's going to put his bloody music on again. I wouldn't say a little bit taking over my life. I would say it's completely taken over my life. I can't even sit down, can't even do nothing. As soon as this music comes on, I'm like a nervous wreck. Jimmy, come out, I can hear something.
That was when my mum was starting to actually get kind of, not crazy, but more insane over it.
All I hear is wind. You okay, Mom?
It's always in my mind. As soon as I wake up, as soon as I go to sleep, even during the day, I have this thought in my head thinking, oh my God, is it ever gonna end?
So Susan took her complaints to the council, who provided her with noise monitors to record the levels of sound coming from Next Door.
That week I recorded it and they said there was enough evidence to serve a notice. It was that loud.
The council served Nick with a noise abatement notice, warning him that if he continued playing loud music, he could receive a fine. But Susan claims that within weeks, the problems had started up again.
I heard all this music coming through in my kitchen while I was cooking. I couldn't get my coat on and I went over. And I was knocking and knocking for about 5 minutes. And I thought, well, it's not going to come now, is he? Because he can't even hear me knocking, maybe. So I thought I'll go home.
But Susan's banging hadn't gone unnoticed. 2 weeks later, she and Nathan were having dinner when they were interrupted.
Someone knocked on the door really hard, and it's like, just keep going until I answer the door. I was worried. He was quite aggressive.
The man at the door said he was a member of Nick Singh's family. He was angry that Susan had broken the door with her banging.
He goes, do you want trouble? He said to me. Nathan was about to go up and beat him up. But I said, no, don't go up there.
I said to him, if you not move, I'll call the police. And I just slammed the door.
It's not nice to be threatened. I was scared. What if they tried to do something? Do you know what I mean? It was horrible.
When we spoke to Nick and his family, they collectively decided not to take part in this film. And Nick didn't comment on this incident either.
The police come out, the council served him a notice. We've had a friendly chat, we've had rows with him. He's just not listening to anybody. And it just got to the point where I'm thinking nobody can help us.
And one evening in November 2014, simmering tensions with her neighbour Nick Singh finally reached boiling point.
Around 8 o'clock, I heard the music come on.
My mum said she's had enough. When your dad comes home, you're going straight out to tell him to stop.
Just wanted it sorting out then and then.
I got back from work about 9:10. Susan came up to me and looked really upset.
So Nathan and the kids got all the, the kids got the hoodies on and everything, and they went over.
I kept banging and banging onto his door for a few minutes.
Me and my dad were swearing like mad, saying, open the damn door.
I'm just getting angry and angrier. It's just up to the level where enough is enough.
And then about maybe 5-10 minutes later, he actually comes out.
I told him turn the music off. It's really loud. And then he tried to push me away.
And that's when my dad actually took it to the next level.
And I retaliated. I just grabbed hold of him.
Fists were being thrown around.
Then he slapped onto Kieran's face.
He literally hit me here. It didn't hurt. I mean, I felt it didn't hurt. So I punched him back around here.
So in the end, I just kicked him away.
He took his jacket off and said, come on then, come at me, I'll take you all on. Jamie said, okay, bring it then, we'll all take you on.
Then we all chased up to him and grabbed hold of him.
Having heard the commotion, Susan rushed outside.
He came limping over and asked me to tell them to stop beating him up and that they can't beat him up. That's when I said to him that, it's his own fault. He shouldn't have the music on so loud.
Following the fight, Nick claims he called the police. When we spoke to him, he claimed he could have had Kieran, Jamie and Nathan arrested, but decided not to press charges.
We're not fighting people, but he's made us want to be like that, do you know what I mean?
Nick has told us that since the fight, he is scared to go back to his own home and that he's had to install CCTV because he feels he's being intimidated by the Sangs. And the dispute between the two households shows no sign of ending anytime soon.
I feel like he's driving me out of my own home. And I do wonder myself whether it'll ever get solved. Who knows? Yeah, I'm just hoping it will.
Issues with Next Door can happen over the garden fence. But when your closest neighbours are on top of you, the slightest noise can feel like an invasion. In East London, 79-year-old Ellen Harris says she's been pushed to breaking point.
When you're going through, or what we've been going through, night after night, then the normal thing would be to get aggressive.
Ellen and Cyril Harris have lived in the same flat in Walthamstow, London for over 60 years.
A bit fresh out here today, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
We've got many friends around here, especially this first one on my left.
Ellen and Cyril have travelled all over the world, but they enjoy their biggest passion from the comfort of their armchairs.
We watch game shows and all detective things.
I like action films, war films.
And after having a bit of dinner, we watch TV for the rest of the evening, both fall asleep.
I don't fall asleep.
But after 60 years of relative peace, in 2008, their idyllic existence was interrupted when new neighbours, the Al-Wakari family, moved in upstairs.
The first day they moved in, I went upstairs, went inside, about 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, had quite a good conversation. It was very amiable.
But unlike the previous tenants who'd lived there, the Al-Wakaris had young children.
We started to hear quite a bit of noise late at night. We could hear all the footsteps above, especially out here in our hallway.
And for Cyril and Ellen, home life became unbearable.
As soon as we put our TV on, then the child will come into the room and start.
Rolling balls over the laminated flooring. The move furniture and scrape it along the floor.
I mean, the child would jump with 2 feet quite often, bang something on the ceiling. And that's what we started to have to put up with.
May Al-Wakari agreed to speak to us, but asked us to conceal her identity.
I moved in here. I only have my son, and he used to go to nursery and he used to go to school. He was hardly at home, and she used to make so much about his running around and doing things like that, but nothing like that ever happened.
But Ellen insists the noise was unbearable.
I went upstairs. The tenant stood at her front door. There was a small argument. Our voices got raised, and I turned away and said, I'm going to the council.
But Mrs. El-Wakari got to the council with her version of events first.
She did use a lot of racial words to my son and also family that were visiting.
The council responded to these allegations by sending Ellen a letter, warning her about her behaviour.
I can honestly say, put my hand on the Bible and honestly say there's been nothing from us regarding raciality.
But Mrs. El-Wakari insists it wasn't the first time Ellen had made her opinions known.
Even before I viewed the property, she opened her house and said to me, all these foreigners moving to this country, Britain's not Britain anymore.
Ellen Harris says that she said no such thing. And when the Housing Association investigated, they couldn't prove it one way or the other, so the matter was dropped. But before long, there was a more heated exchange.
I came out here. I could hear the neighbour above me on his mobile phone talking very, very loudly. It was echoing all round the cul-de-sac, and it was 12:15 at night. So I just leaned out and I said, would you mind turning it down a bit, the noise? And that's when I was started to be abused. And he said to me, you're a racist, you're a witch, and if you don't go inside now, I'll come down and smash your face in.
The El-Wakaris say that this simply never happened, and when she called the police, Ellen was told that with no proof, there was nothing they could do.
I felt like going up there and doing something dangerously effective on these people for being like they were against my wife and being that it affected her so much.
By 2012, the two women lost patience with each other.
As I was coming in my front door, the lady above was standing on the banister. She said to me, you're a witch and I hope you die.
But Mrs. El-Wakari had an entirely different story.
5 policemen turned up, and the 2 that came in here and said that I'd called them a racial comment.
They was going to arrest her.
Yeah, they
and
nearly
put her
got
in
me
a cell,
arrested.
would you believe? Put her in a cell.
But he said, Mrs. Harris, it's 11 o'clock at night. You're 79 years of age, and we are not going to put you in a cell at this time of night. And that was the end of that.
Ellen had escaped a night in the cells. But she claims the continued noise from the flat above wasn't much of a consolation.
What's that?
I want to sit there.
Oh.
Ellen and Cyril were desperate to prove they were the victims. So, using recording devices provided by the Housing Association, they tried to monitor the noise coming through the ceiling.
At one time we had 5 hours, would you believe, on the tape, and they said there was nothing much on there.
It's got to be at least 90 decibels before they can accept that you are putting up with noise.
To me, it would be like a band in a hall, 90 decibels.
Which is ridiculous.
With the noise monitors failing to prove anything, for Ellen and Cyril, home life was becoming unbearable.
It's got to affect your nerves, and that's what it did to me. You don't want to eat, and I'm slim enough as it is. I've always been tiny. So I actually went down to 5 stone in weight.
Plus at one time, my wife said to me, she said, I've had enough. She said, I want to die.
I did.
It broke my heart to see my wife going through this because of these people.
I can only, in my heart, think that they are deliberately trying to stop us from having any enjoyment.
It's all just made up, really. It was very quiet. I hardly ever, would make a sound.
Ellen Harris was by now the highest volume caller to her local police station.
Since all the trouble started, I must have called the police at least 100 times.
No one wants the police knocking on their door every day. Sometimes they just come when my kids are fast asleep. It really is affecting me.
After 6 years of complaining about the El-Wakari family making too much noise, Ellen and Cyril Harris fought back by banging on a cupboard in the stairwell.
That's the only thing we can do to retaliate.
She would come out every day and she would do it late at night, and that was just really disturbing everyone.
And one day in August 2014, tensions erupted in explosive fashion.
The noise carried on quite bad, so I got my stick and I come out here and I banged on this cupboard door.
It's all started with her banging again. No reason, out of nowhere.
Next thing, the resident came down the stairs, took my photo and said, "I'm calling the police and I'm taking you to court." I was a bit shocked, but I had enough time just to say to her, "You bitch, you bitch." And that's the first time I've ever used any swear words at all.
May El-Wakari was in fact filming Ellen on her mobile phone that night. She has released the following footage to us.
You're a bitch.
Okay, that's
You're using your children as weapons against us.
okay.
Yeah, you bitch.
I'm calling the police right now and I'll show them this video and I will take you to court.
Yeah.
You're trying to scare my kids. Watch.
I feel like harassed by her since the day I moved in here.
2 days later, a letter arrived from the council accusing Ellen of making threats of physical assault.
I didn't threaten her at all with my stick, and there was no way I was going, no way to attack her. Nothing in my head and nothing in my mind to attack her at all.
The couple were threatened with eviction and summoned to a meeting with the council and police.
A form was produced by a tenancy officer, and we were asked to sign it.
It was an acceptable behaviour agreement, banning them from causing alarm, distress or harassment to others, more commonly given to teenagers.
We were very unhappy with the clauses in it and the way it referred to us, just as though, once again, as we were the perpetrators and the people upstairs above us were the victims.
It's like a living nightmare, really. I've just had enough of it. I honestly don't see that she'll ever stop doing what she's doing.
Every time I turn the corner to come into the cul-de-sac, I hate it. I hate living here at the moment. If it wasn't for my husband, I wouldn't be here. Our council have said, well, why don't you, Mr. Harris, move?
I'm 88, I've got a pacemaker, and I live from day to day, and I certainly ain't going to move now in this position. Now, that's final.
Since filming finished, Ellen was called into the local police station. After being questioned for 6 hours and having photographs and fingerprints taken, she was cautioned under the Public Order Act for causing fear, provocation or violence, and warned she will appear in court if she continues to harass her neighbour. Having lived in York for several years, in February 2015, single dad Steve Foster moved back to his native Lincolnshire for a fresh start.
As soon as I viewed this flat, and I thought it was perfect. Right area, there's a shop just behind me there. Town's quite nearby. The rooms inside seemed really nice and big. I moved into the top floor. Everything was okay. Everything was perfect.
A few days after moving in, Steve bumped into one of his new neighbours.
So I first met the guy who lived downstairs when I was topping up the electrometer, just in the alleyway there. It was just a nod of the head, like nod back, no words or anything were exchanged like that.
Steve's neighbour below was 26-year-old Raimondas Jakstas from Lithuania.
He seemed like a nice guy, quiet guy, kept himself to himself generally. He seemed like a normal guy.
Unfortunately for Steve, Mr. Jakstas didn't keep quiet for long.
Matter of days, the noise started to build up. It started with just generally chatting and laughing and joking. Then the music started, and then quite loud techno bass, and it was coming till all hours of the night. So I'd be walking through the flat, and I'd be able to hear the bass myself. I'd be able to feel it through the floor, actually, physically on the bottom of my foot.
It wasn't just Steve who was affected by the noisy neighbours.
It's keeping my son awake till quite late at night. Some nights he'd be going on till 2 in the morning. If I have my son stay over and so he hasn't got a very good night's sleep, and it just ruins the whole day.
Steve had been in his flat for less than a month but was already beginning to lose patience with Mr. Jackstas. And what happened next caught him completely off guard.
I came back from work one day and I found a letter at the door, and it was from the council stating that they'd had multiple complaints, that they'd heard loud music and sort of like shouting and, you know, just general loud noises till like silly o'clock. As soon as I read the letter, yeah, I felt a bit confused. You know, it's nothing to do with me.
Steve knew the real source of the noise was the flat below, so he took the letter of complaint downstairs to Mr. Jackstas.
Well, I went up to him, I was like, well, look, here's a letter, here's what's going on, and here's what's been said. And he seemed to sort of like take notice, but I don't know if he was actually paying any attention at all. They weren't friendly at all, they're quite sort of like solemn-faced.
Worried by his neighbour's attitude, Steve decided to forward the council's letter to his landlord.
After I gave the letter to the landlords, you know, I thought that'd be it. I thought there'd be no more noise. I thought that'd be the problem dealt with.
But Steve's problems were only just beginning. 3 weeks after confronting his neighbour, he was putting his son to bed when he heard a commotion in the back garden.
I went to the kitchen window to investigate where the noise was coming from and what was happening, and that's when I saw the guy from the flat downstairs. He was banging and kicking and shouting and swearing and just generally just banging about. I just shouted out, I was like, can you keep it down, mate, please? Because my son's in bed and it's quite late, just keep the noise down.
But Mr. Jackstas didn't take kindly to being told what to do.
He was saying, like, I'll kill you, I'll kill you, I'll kill you and your dog. I'll, like, just basically threatening us with, like, violence and that he was going to hurt us. It sounded really sort of like there was some sort of intent in his voice. Or as I looked down, I could see that he was trying to climb up with a drain pipe and trying to climb up onto the flat roof. He couldn't manage it because he was drunk. But then he decided to get a table and climb on that. At that point, I thought, well, he's actually trying to get into the flat. Or maybe he's serious about his intentions. I was concerned for everybody's safety, primarily like my son. Then I told him that I'd ring the police, and that's when he backed off. That's when he went away. I thought that was it. That was the end of the situation. I didn't think anything else was going to come at it.
But this was about to turn into a night he'd never forget.
You could see your silhouette downstairs kicking and banging the door, like trying really hard to get into the house. We couldn't see exactly who it was, apart from the shape of the door. After hearing the guy's voice, we realised it was the same guy from out back, and the concern was at the time that he was actually going to get in.
As Mr. Jackstas tried to kick their door down, Steve and his flatmate sprang into action.
At this point, we had to barricade the door because he was making progress trying to get in. And the door was quite flimsy, so we had to physically barricade it. And we was using bicycles, anything we could find. At this point, he was still like hammering at the door trying to get in. That's when I called the police.
After dialing 999, Steve rushed back to help his flatmate at the door. But an already shocking chain of events suddenly spiralled out of control.
We suddenly saw a knife come through the door, being waved about with a slashing motion. It was a big carving knife that would have done some damage. He said that he was trying to kill us, that he was going to kill us. And we thought, well, what a psycho, and I hope the police get here as soon as possible, because like, if he's going to do that, then he's going to do anything.
The situation was critical, and with his 5-year-old son asleep upstairs, Steve was taking no chances.
I thought, well, if he's going to get in, I'm going to have to defend myself. So I went to the kitchen and I grabbed a knife. It looked like he was going to get in because the door was coming really loose. Then we heard a siren in the distance, and then all of a sudden he just seemed to vanish.
Steve went straight upstairs to check on his son, but as he did so, he heard yet more shouting outside.
I saw the guy being dragged out from down that alleyway. He wasn't very cooperative at all. He was kicking off, he was resisting arrest quite badly. He was, throwing his arms around, or trying to throw his arms around, and moving his head, and like kicking and stomping, and shouting, and just generally trying to hinder him. He got carted off.
Mr. Jackstas was arrested and charged with possession of a bladed weapon in public and threatening behaviour. A date was set for trial. But when Steve told his workmates about his run-in with Jackstas, the biggest shock was yet to come.
I found out from the local Lithuanian community in Boston that he'd been arrested for murder previously. How could he be let in? you know, with that sort of thing hanging over his head.
The murder was committed when Mr. Jakstas was 16 years old and living in Lithuania. He'd been convicted and sentenced to 9 years imprisonment, but served only 6 before moving to Britain.
To think that he only served like quite a short time for murder is quite, in my mind, it's quite bad, because in this country it'd be life sentence.
2 months after being arrested for attacking Steve's flat, Raimondas Jakstas appeared at Lincoln Crown Court. He pleaded guilty to all charges and was sentenced to 2 years in jail. Taking into account his previous conviction, the judge stated, "It appears on release from prison, you were able to come into this country without any hindrance, and subsequently live here without any monitoring." Shortly after the incident, Steve moved out of the flat, but the thought of what could have happened that day is chilling.
Coming back to the house, I'm still shocked. A convicted murderer was living right below us when I was just up there, and it's really shocking. You know, it shocks me now still that he was allowed in without any checks or anything like that.
In 1992, Mandy McKevitt moved to a village just outside the city.
It was nice and peaceful. We could enjoy his garden, sit out and enjoy his garden in peace. It was lovely, really enjoyed it.
Mandy and her husband quickly struck up a firm friendship with the couple living next door.
We used to get on really well. We used to help each other out when we could.
But Marianne McNally, who lives on the other side, was experiencing a very different relationship with them.
Unfortunately, next door had got a number of cars at their address, so I could never park outside my own house. I had spoken to her and was met with a torrent of abuse.
The neighbours told us this was untrue, and that at least initially they only had one car. But Mandy was still on good terms with their neighbour, and when her marriage broke down, she turned to them for support.
She was praying about how much my ex-husband gave me in maintenance money. And I thought, what a rude thing to ask somebody. And that's when alarm bells started to ring, and I thought, this isn't right.
Mandy decided to distance herself, and in 1999, her new partner, Carl, moved in.
One day we was talking about having a patio there, and I mentioned it to her, and she said, "You can't put a patio there because my overflow pipe runs onto that patio." And I thought, how rude can somebody be? I was livid. End of the day, somebody's telling me what I can have on my own property.
Their neighbour denies saying this, but there were about to be more serious problems.
Yeah, I woke up one morning and I was greeted with lots of water, human waste, toilet paper over half of the garden. Stench in the air all the way round up to here. In this dip here, it was about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches deep. The stench was horrendous. You could smell the human waste.
And Carl says he knew exactly where the mess was coming from.
It had come from this pipe that leads all their bathroom waste down the pipe into a drain that's covered over by this patio block, joins up with the drain that's in the alley at the side of the house. She said that she'd seen it already and she'd got a plumber. To their credit, the plumber came, he unblocked it, and that was fine.
But 3 days later, the problem had returned, so Carl went straight round to speak to the neighbours.
Knocked on the door, and they said that they'd had a plumber out and it wasn't their problem anymore, and they closed the door on my face. I said to Mandy, I said, I think that we've got a little bit of a fight on his hands.
Carl and Mandy had to fix the drain themselves.
I feel from that point on, that's when things turned sour.
The loud music started, and it became where it was every day. And I mean every day, there wasn't a break. It's a really red hot day, lovely, beautiful outside, and all I wanted to do was sit in my garden. And they were in their garden, and they had We Will Rock You by Queen absolutely blasting out. And the noise was horrific. So I stayed in my house for a bit, but then I went to open my door, and they told me to. So I came in and just shut the door.
As the months went by, the noise problems continued.
As soon as I went out my house, I'd hear his footsteps and I'd hear him rigging his music up, and I thought, this is it, it's coming back on, and I felt like I was being bullied in my own garden.
It's horrific having to live it, and it's horrendous. It is absolutely horrendous.
But the loud music was barely the beginning.
I was at home one day and I heard a noise, like a howling noise.
The neighbours had in fact bought 3 dogs. Carl recorded the sounds.
Of some noise that we've had to endure from the next door. That's an example of his dogs howling.
Marianne McNally was also starting to suffer.
I've been angry, I've been upset, I've cried, I have banged on the wall, I've hammered on the wall, I've now got a hole in my bedroom wall because I've hit it that hard.
After suffering for nearly 2 years, Mandy and Carl could take no more.
I told Doncaster Council, I said, this isn't a home, it's a hellhole. Your home should be a sanctuary, and this isn't nowhere near that.
The council asked the couple to supply their sound recordings as evidence.
I recorded no end of things, horrendous.
I got out of bed, I came over here, and it sounded like a chiming clock. Only thing was, it was like 4 in the morning, but it chimed around 11 times, 12 times maybe. It was waking us up every hour, and in the early hours we got up with a dictaphone and we started to record. It sounded that loud that it was in our bedroom virtually. It was deafening. Never mind how they could sleep through it, it was disrupting our sleep all the time. It's just another form of torture, another way to make us unhappy.
Finally, in May 2013, Mandy and Carl's persistence paid off.
The day they got the abatement notice, I sat and cried. I thought, this is it now. The nightmare's finally over. But little did I know it was just the start.
For some reason now, the neighbours seem to be turning their hostilities to their other neighbour, Marianne.
I'd heard glass dropping on the floor or breaking glass, so I'd gone out to check, and there was a large area of big pieces of broken glass where the children play.
Marianne suspected the neighbours were responsible, but didn't have any proof. So she went to speak to Mandy 2 doors down.
I said, look, you know, if you do see her going anywhere near the fence, or if you're suspicious in any way, can you please just take a picture or try and get some evidence for me?
A few weeks later, Mandy saw her opportunity.
I looked out my window and I saw her, and I thought, I've got to grab my tablet. I watched her go out of a gate into a garden, and she got some step ladders stood by the fence. She went up her step ladders and she got the bucket in her hand. She leant over the fence and she poured it into Marianne's garden. I couldn't believe what we were seeing. I thought, you want to grow up and act your age. My hands were shaking because I thought, yes, we've got you now and you can't fool a picture. We've finally got you. Try getting out of that one.
Marianne claims the deposit was a mixture of broken glass and chicken bones.
At the time, I'll be honest, I did not want to go anywhere near her. For fear of what I might do, because I was extremely angry she'd put my child at risk. But I had to avoid her because I think I'd have killed her.
Marianne called the police. They spoke to her neighbour, but no action was taken.
Because of the abatement notice, I think it's made them more hostile towards us, and they've turned up the volume even more, and they've just took things to another level. They've just gone crazy with it, really.
The neighbours told us that since the notice was served on her husband, who is profoundly deaf, she has tried to keep the noise down. She also claims she feels intimidated, assaulted and insulted, and lives in fear in her own home. Despite this, Mandy and Carl say that years of stress with Next Door have taken their toll.
It puts a massive restraint, a really big strain on your relationship. All the things that you got together for, what you like about each other, they all go on the back burner because this takes over the show. This is the main event. It's all that we've got.
just feel ill with it all. Down, depressed, low, sad. I'd like to be happy in my own home, in my own garden. That's all I want out of life, just to live in my house and be happy. But all I know is I can't live like this for much longer. It's driving me crackers.
Daniela Haydock moved to England 8 years ago and settled in Wigan with her young son Oliver. She found a semi-detached house here in May 2014, and before they moved in, everything appeared to be fine.
I keep looking at the house, I was looking at neighbours and stuff like this. I keep coming different hours, and everything seems okay, and everything was okay actually.
Daniela's new home was sandwiched between 17-year-old Cameo Morrison, who lived with her father, and Marie Liptrot, who had a young family. Daniela claims they made their presence known before she had even unpacked.
I was moving my stuff and I start hearing these comments going in and out. I could hear the both neighbours talk over the fence and say really nasty things about someone, which that was me. I thought the beginning would be a joke and, well, they don't know me, I'm going to try to make friends. I just left it.
We spoke to Marie Liptrot. She told us that she in fact found Daniela pleasant when she moved in and that they were on good terms. But 3 weeks later, Daniela claims that things with Marie were already taking a nosedive.
I just got out of the house and I saw a lid from a neighbour bin land on my car. So I said, oh, that's not nice. I just noticed her daughter come back home and I just asked her, you know, can you tell your mom, please?
But her instructions were not well received.
She come out, how do I dare do that and do that? To talk with her daughter, to tell her daughter what I have to do, and who do I think I am? That was nasty. I start to realize I do not have nice neighbors and I might have problems.
Marie told us the wind does blow the bin lids open occasionally, and also added that she wasn't in control of the weather. But soon, Daniela was getting trouble from the other side of the wall and called on her ex-husband, Nick, who lived just round the corner.
Daniela gave us a phone call, saying she had a lot of problems at the house.
Music, 12 o'clock in the night. If you touch the wall, you could feel vibrating. If you had something on the wall, you feel moving. Same with the window, so it's really bad.
I went in the house. Daniel was banging on the wall, trying to keep the music down because my little boy was trying to sleep. But didn't listen. The music just went louder and louder. Waited for the neighbour's father to come home from work, confronted him, asked him why is this music on so loud this time of night because my boy's trying to sleep.
But Nick's complaints seemed to fall on deaf ears.
It's really disturbing. It's really disturbing, especially if it's in the night time. How long are we going to take this? Why? Stop, for God's sake, it's too much.
Out of desperation, Daniela called the police.
And it was still going on till maybe 3, 4 o'clock in the morning before the police did something about it.
Daniela called the housing association, who kitted out her home with noise monitoring equipment. Cameo Morrison, however, told us that Daniela had been easy to get along with until she made a comment to Cameo's father about her after a family argument. She told us it was after that things went downhill and Daniela started complaining about everything she could. But noise wasn't the only problem.
Cigarettes in my garden, bottles, tin, cans, whatever you want. And that was actually a really big mess from that point.
Marie denies throwing any rubbish over the fence and says she doesn't even drink or smoke.
I was just at my boy's house in the garden with him. Next thing, a bottle comes flying over the fence and nearly hits my boy. Next minute, I can hear them laughing and swearing in the garden. Take my boy back in the house.
After this encounter, Nick had made up his mind about Daniela's neighbours.
They're just scum. They're nothing else. My neighbours are just scum.
Shouting, talking, music, parties, everything have to be at the lowest possible.
The Housing Association were already investigating, but it was ex-husband Nick who felt he needed to take action.
Plenty of times I wanted to retaliate, but Daniela's told me, don't think of it. Don't revolve with my boy there. Don't do anything stupid because you'll end up getting arrested.
Daniela did her best to keep her head down, but one summer's day, temperatures boiled over when she had another run-in with Marie Liptrot.
It was a Saturday, that's why it was nice outside, so I decided to wash my car. Minutes after I started washing the car, my next door neighbor decided to have a barbecue. Put the barbecue near the fence. Blame me, I spill water to her barbecue and her kids are wet through.
In the past, Daniela had called the police, but this time the tables were turned and they came to pay her a visit.
They came in my house and said, look, don't have to come in. I'm here, she's there. I will start washing the car. Minutes after she put the barbecue right away against the fence where we are. What can I do? What can I say? I don't understand.
We spoke to Marie Liptrot. She told us that Daniela deliberately sprayed water on her barbecue and at her children when they were playing on the trampoline to shut them up, and that she felt she couldn't let her children play freely in the garden when Daniela was around. But Daniela could no longer cope and did the unthinkable.
I was feeling like a nightmare, yeah, something which I just keep telling myself. I was at point one and I took like 20, 30 paracetamols. I just couldn't take it anymore. It looks like nothing can be done.
And it wasn't just Daniela that was affected.
I'm really worried about my boy. Since he's been living there, he's been doing a lot of swearing, a lot of being disrespectful to his mother, having tantrums, throwing things at his mother. I think it's a good thing what the neighbours are doing, so he's copying the same thing.
But soon things would come to a head with her other neighbour, Cameo Morrison.
I heard some swearing and I realized she actually jumped the fence under my window, the other side and back. And the moment I got back in, put the music so loud we couldn't understand each other in the house.
Nick decided enough was enough and went round to confront her.
I knocked on the door of my neighbour. My neighbour opened the door. She said, what the do you want? I says, why did you go round to my wife's? You was in the garden. Told me to started to push me. I took about 3 steps back. She pushes me again. I get near the gate and she smacks me in the face. That's when I went back inside Daniela's house. Then my neighbour come banging on the door. Come to the door, come to the door.
And he just rang the police, and I think it was more than a half an hour spoken with the police.
And they decided to take action.
2 or 3 days after, was 2, 3 cars, 3 police cars came there and knocked at the door. She was alone. Again, music, but they tell her, you have to come with us.
Cameo Morrison was arrested.
It was really nasty. Well, not nice, yeah.
Although Cameo claimed that it was Nick who slapped her that night, in November 2014, just 6 months after Daniela moved in, Cameo was given a 12-month restraining order, made to pay both Daniela and Nick £100, given a 25-hour activity order, and ordered to stay away from Daniela's property. Because some of the abuse Daniela had received had a racial element, she was also told to do 6 sessions of diversity awareness and put on curfew for 12 hours a day for 3 months. But Daniela had had enough and moved out.
Well, to be honest, the moment I moved, for a week, I think, the place I was living, I slept like I didn't slept in my life so well. Even my little one told me, Mom, you are different, Mom, you act different, you are so nice. And that was shocking. That was, for me, a wake up. I should do this long time ago.
Daniela and her son now live in a hostel and are waiting to be rehoused. Cameo told us she wholeheartedly disputes the allegations. Marie denies behaving unreasonably. Both claim that Daniela was the problem and they are relieved that she is no longer living next door to them.
No one should go through this. No one. Absolutely no one. Doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how you act. You should be treated like a human being.